You're about to listen to TADPOG. Tyler and Dave play old games. It's a comedy video game podcast. We would like to stress that the hosts are not experts and are really just very crass commentators. Seriously, this is an explicit podcast that happens to talk about video games sometimes. So please enjoy this pretty okay podcast with Tyler and Dave.
Hello, Internet, and welcome. Man, we got these headphones back on this new board. It's all like crisp and sharp.
I know. I feel like a goddamn professional once again. No more of this no headphone wearing bullshit. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Patreon donors. Yeah. We used the money to buy a new board.
Hell yeah. So, hey, Internet, thanks for coming to listen to this little old homespun podcast where two old guys play old games. Courtesy of our chaotic god, the Randomizer.
All hail the Randomizer.
This week.
All hail the Randomizer.
Thank you. We are talking about Wizardry V for the SNES.
Wizardry V.
And we do have our very own lounge wizard that we are bringing onto the show to talk about this game in just excruciating detail. Sandwich Pope, Phil Hawkins.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, Phil. Thanks for coming back, man. I remember you talking about Wizardry V briefly when we were talking about Might and Magic 3, The Isles of Terra, not too long ago. Mm-hmm. So thank you, Randomizer, also for giving us these games so close together, because now I feel like I kind of have the opportunity to be like, okay, let's compare these games a little bit, because I think they're very similar.
It's true. In its infinite chaotic wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
The Randomizer knows what it's doing. We do not need to question its ways and its means. It knows what it's doing.
I think it likes to be questioned, to be perfectly honest. I think the Randomizer is the kind of god he's like, yeah, just question it. It doesn't matter.
That's fine. Dr. Drunk, you hate me and you curse me? Fine, bring it on. I choose you as the sower of dissent. You are my chosen one, Dr. Drunk. Well, before we break down Wizardry V, I'm your bitter host, Tyler. And it has been a week.
Yeah.
It has been quite the fucking week. And I hear Phil, like, whenever I talk about my bad week, start pouring that vodka.
Yeah.
This was actually Captain Morgan's Cannon Blast rum.
What?
A glass of citrus.
Oh, my
with
God.
An unexpected kick.
That sounds pretty good.
All right.
Yeah. It comes in the shape of a cannonball.
I like that. I just got this thing of ice water over here because it's hot as fuck in the recording studio.
Yeah, just a 0-calorie Monster Energy drink for me over here. Yeah. Since we're all being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this week, it's been a long, kind of rough week. One, been to the ER 3 different times with Jack. He's totally fine. Because he has.
I don't know, man.
Because apparently it's super common because he has a Mickey button style G-tube.
A Mickey button?
A Mickey button. And that fucker just like loves to pop out. Like you look at it funny and it fucking pops out. So if like we pick him up wrong or somebody like barely like steps on a cord or
someone sneezes,
if he starts crying, you see it start kind of like drifting out if he's crying really hard. Like, so it came out like every other day this week. So we were taking him to the ER for 2 to 3 hours a pop to have him put back in an x-ray to make sure it's in right. And then we get a good day of success. And then the next day it comes up, we go right back. So
how much time would you say you've spent in the ER this week?
At least 9 or 10 hours.
Okay, great. Like over a full work day.
Yeah. Just sitting in the ER.
Awesome. But he is okay.
No, he's totally fine. We can go to the one in town. Originally, Louisville said, if it comes out, drive right to us. And the first time it came out, it was like, do we drive all the way to Louisville for this? And I would just, no, let's go to we needed to have a bulb catheter put in to sort of blow it up so it doesn't heal over. So it's like, we'll just go there first. We need one of those before we travel. So we get there, and the ER doctor was like, no, just put it back in. That's silly for you all the way to Louisville. I'll just put it back in. No big deal. He just sucked out because it stays in. It looks like an air mattress pump, And on the other side,
That's actually what it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just go back and harvest them every time from a dead air mattress.
Wait, you went to the ER back behind Hardee's restaurant, right?
No, man, River Mayhem's got your G-tube. Come on. And it's got like what looks like a marble on the other side. It's just like a small inflatable with saline sack that the third time we went to a different hospital and they were like, yeah, it's kind of underdeflated. And he put more in it. So like that should help it stay in a little bit better than it has been. So I don't know if that was part of the problem. But apparently they also just like one nurse said, yeah, my daughter's got one of these. She's had it for 3 years. Comes out all the time. I just put it back in. I learned how to do it. I put it back in.
Wow.
So I won't do that because I'm too scared about not putting it in right. And I'm not a nurse like that woman is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's been a busy part of the week. The other was yesterday. Pretty sure Melissa's phone got stolen, and she doesn't carry a purse, so she has like a little pocket in the back of her phone where she keeps all her cards and cash and all that. So it was like 9 o'clock, and she was like, "Where's my phone?" So we scoured the house looking for it, couldn't find it anywhere. And she's like, "Oh God, I hope I didn't set it on the car when I was putting Jack in his car seat." And then just drove off with it. So then we get flashlights. We're all looking around the yard trying to find it, go out on the road where she might have pulled around. And then I asked her brother, like, does Verizon do any sort of like GPS? She's like, you can just log into your Google account and see it. It's like, all right, sweet. So I did that, and it pinged that the phone was at someone's house about 5 minutes away.
Phone thief.
Yeah, so she's like, well, I guess I could have fallen off in the road and somebody picked it up. And I was like, yeah, or when you went to Bible school or something like that, somebody just stole it from you.
Probably the devil.
I think that's the devil gave it to somebody else.
The devil was waiting outside, and when she left, took her phone.
But it was like 9:30 at this point, and I was like, it's going to be dead in the morning. I'll just go over there now. So I drove over because I was familiar with the road. I'd never been to this house, but like it's not a bad part of Sharp. There's not really a bad part of Sharp.
Yeah.
So I went over to the house. I got out. I go to the front door, and I immediately just like am incredibly grossed out because it's a decent, it's a nice little house.
It's a house made out of phones.
Made out of old Nokia phones.
Constructed totally out of phones. Of different makes, models, years.
But these people must not use their front door ever because it was
it's made out of phones.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
It was like I stepped into Lolth's realm because it was just nickel-sized spiders everywhere. Everywhere. Like, I'd knock on the door, and I just see them skitter from the door. So it's just like, fuck. And I could hear something going on. It's like somebody's home.
Sounded like a phone call.
There are like five trucks in the driveway. So I sat there and I beat on the door. Like I'll knock on it and then jump back several feet as the spiders skittle around. Yeah. And then once they settle, I go in and knock again. I did that for a long time. No one ever came to the door. I walked around and saw like lights from like a TV going behind some drawn shades. So then I heard music, and I go behind the house, and there's an exterior speaker on their shed blaring country music. So like I knock on the shed, no one comes around. They have like a locked sunroom. I guess that's how they get in.
So let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Were you like on a scale of 1 to 10? Like how terrified were you at this point?
Like at 3.
At 3, I would have been probably like at a 9.
Because like
I'm in Dave's room here.
Because I mean, I think honestly, I would have been like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and call the police.
Because I thought about it, was like, but it could have fallen off. At the same time, we've been calling it and texting it, and no one's answering it. She went through and she made it ring, even though it's on silent. No one did anything. So then she's like, well, okay, let's make sure this is the right location or whatever. So then we drive back home, and that's when I see, like, as I'm walking back to the car, that I see a smile. You're on camera. So it's like, okay, motherfuckers, can you see me? Open the door. Just tell me.
So this made
like,
you angry.
They could have been scared. Like, I am a stranger knocking on their door at 9:30 at night. I was like, okay, well, benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
Maybe they're just like, they just don't know. They don't want to answer the door.
Sure.
Okay, I'll come back in the morning. Not a big deal. We go home. Melissa pings the phone again, and now it's down the road from the house. So apparently whoever was there after we left got in their car and drove off.
They're on us.
Yeah.
Move the phone.
We got the phone. Go. So then we ping it, and it is at a hair salon run out of someone's house about 5 miles further away when we ping it again. So I called the number of the hairdresser at like 10 o'clock at this point.
Yeah.
Call. No one answers. Melissa pings it again. It's traveling. Pings it again. It's traveling. Pings it again. It's at a trailer park in Possum Trot. And that's where it resides until it goes dead.
So end of the story, you don't have it.
I don't have it. I don't have it. I wasn't going to go to a trailer park at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well.
So do you think it was stolen?
I think at this point it was stolen.
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty safe bet.
We locked it, so it said this phone is lost. Please call, and then we made it display my phone number. So yeah, they're not getting anything out of it. I called, canceled the debit cards.
God,
she didn't have any cash in it. She had to get She had to get a new driver's license today, and I have to reorder all of Jack's insurance cards that were.
Oh my God!
So, yeah. I mean, I have pictures of all of them, so I can still a lot of doctor's offices will take pictures and stuff like that. So it's fine for now. Everything's pretty much good. It just sucks. It just wasn't a fun week.
You had sent me a message about circumcision scraps?
Trinkets.
Right? Yeah, I guess there's a big difference between circumcision trinkets and scraps.
Because we finally got Jack circumcised. Because we kind of been discussing it. I didn't know how I felt about it. But it was kind of
dog penis or no dog penis.
Yeah. It was taken out of my hands, medical reason, because of his UTIs. The doctor said he needs to have one.
Yeah.
So okay.
For the record, I went dog penis.
Yeah. Made my mind up for me. Okay, cool. But then they kept hedging on doing it over and over and over again. The other hospital, one doctor said, nope, he needs anesthesia. Another doctor says, oh, I'll do it. That's fine. No, I'll do it tomorrow. I guess not realizing that was the last day in his rotation. So the day he was supposed to do it, he was off. So then the doctor came on who was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Okay, so it just took forever, until it actually got done, which prompted, I told my mom about it. And my mom told me a story that had just happened right around the day before or something like that, that my mom, so tell me if this is weird or not.
All right, I like it when things start that way, yes.
So I'm circumcised, and whenever I was circumcised, they circumcised me and then held the skin and everything together with a piece of twine, just a little
Wait, what do you
thin,
mean? It was off of you and then they put a twine on it, or that's how they got it off?
That's how they cut it and then left it to heal with a piece of twine around it.
Okay.
So I was born before the advent of anything better than twine. So, but my mom did not keep the piece of twine. My brother Ryan is also circumcised. Sorry, Ryan. Let's cat out of the bag. You were also circumcised, but he had a little plastic ring they put over it, and eventually the ring, as it healed, the ring
they
would
had
fall
developed
off.
the technology.
Yeah. So my mom kept the plastic ring from his circumcision.
So now this is where you ask, is this weird?
Is this weird? So in his baby book, it's circumcision ring or from Ryan's circumcision.
Yeah. Penis leavings.
Ryan's first cock ring.
So Ryan and his girlfriend were over at Mom's house looking through his baby book and see this. And his girlfriend, when she sees it, she doesn't have any kids. She herself with a vagina is not circumcised. Thought it was Ryan's foreskin that Mom had saved and put in the baby book. She freaked the fuck out.
What'd she do?
Ryan, of course, didn't correct her, pulled out the plastic ring and threw it at her. And there was some circumstance in which it came out of the book. She freaked out, and then the ring became lost.
Oh, no
one can find
the
it.
ring.
No one can find Ryan's circumcision ring.
This is like a weird version of Lord of the Rings.
So then I asked Melissa, so when this falls off of Jack, you gonna keep his circumcision ring? She's like, no.
So
that's weird.
So he has he has the new tech.
He's got the brand
got the
spanking new 2019 tech.
I got you.
Circumcision ring.
No twine for Jack.
No twine for my boy.
All right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what tech was used. I was born before you, so they probably just had
probably just prayers.
Probably prayers. And I think they probably just took a paintbrush and put a little sugar water on the end of it, and then they just let all the bugs and animals do the work.
Whenever Jack had to have before they had the shunt, the first step was to put a needle into his soft spot and draw some of the liquid out of his skull. It was starting to pressurize a little bit. It was causing pain but no lasting damage. But we don't want to be in pain, so we can do this. But our local hospital doesn't have anesthesia for kids his size. So he's like, but What we will do, and this actually works, we'll give him sugar water right before we do it, and that actually works for about 30 seconds in infants.
Really?
So, yeah. Since you said sugar water, that reminded me of that.
That's wild. It does attract bats and hummingbirds, though. Are you okay with that?
So when I come back, there are just hummingbirds in the little hole needle make into my son's head.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but in order to do this procedure properly, we need to recreate multiple scenes from Fern Gully. Are you okay with that? Or Avatar, if you wish.
Find your worst enemy to dress like the smoke monster. It needs to be authentic.
Hey, everybody. I'm Dave, and I'd like to interrupt this important circumcision conversation to bring you news. Dr. Pepper is not a Pepsi product. Welcome to Soda Jerks. I tricked you.
Nice.
We were wrong on the last episode because we didn't know that we were going to do an impromptu episode of Soda Jerks.
That's true. I was also very wrong that Zooey Deschanel was not in Pushing Daisies.
Also, my name is Daniel. Since we're making confessions, my name is
Daniel and Todd.
I did this to protect my identity. I'm Daniel, not David. So there we go. We're just gonna keep the name TADPOG. I think it still works.
It still works. We're still Daniel and Todd D&T. So
yeah, it's all fine.
It works.
Dr. Pepper is a Keurig Dr. Pepper product.
What?
Keurig, yeah, Keurig bought Dr. Pepper like in 2018, apparently.
What the fuck?
They also own. Would you like to hear the list of sodas, some of which I have never heard of?
Yes, please.
All right, here we go.
Coke better still own Beverly, though. Damn it.
Did Coke own Beverly?
It was in the Coke Museum. That's where I had it.
Oh, all right. Okay, that does make sense. All right. So here's the thing. I don't have that information anymore. Second episode of Soda Jerks, also not going well.
Soda Jerks will now move on to Patreon. So.
Yeah, Soda Jerks on patreon.com/TADPOG. Check it out. It'll be there.
That way we don't have any information. It's fine.
I can tell you that with some quick Wikipediaing that Keurig did buy the Dr. Pepper Snapple group. So somewhere in there, Dr. Pepper and Snapple are part of the same company.
So here's the real issue: is that Wikipedia, that very same Wikipedia page, reads differently on my tablet than it does in a browser. On the browser version, at the very bottom. I'm doing some risky shit here. I'm lifting the laptop up, which we are using to record. So this comes with great risk. This information comes with great risk. I hope you realize. The Keurig Dr. Pepper brands are as follows. 50-50. Anybody heard of that one?
I guess that's some 7-Up knockoff.
I think. Go ahead, Phil.
I was going to make a joke. It's the 50 Cent brand soft drink.
It's 50 Cent and his twin brother, also another 50 Cent.
50 pence. He's from the UK.
I believe 50-50 is a sex worker term that you use when you would like to receive oral sex and vaginal penetration. That's a 50-50. If, you know.
I think a 50-50 would have been a hand job, blow job, but all right. I'd call sex and a blow job $1.50.
I didn't make the rules. Keurig.
Well, in my prostitution land, that's called $1.50.
Todd's prostitution land. I can see the sign right now. I'll design it for you.
I'm glad after our relatively PG Might and Magic episode that we've strictly gone into NSFW.
Yeah,
Todd's thoughts.
We've crossed into the realm of circumcision and
prostitution.
Sex. You know, I've always said that when Todd and Daniel come out, this show is going to turn into like 1993 HBO's Real Sex.
Prosty Circs. It's where we prostitutes talk about circumcision.
It's a niche market, but it's there. It needs to be serviced. They also own 7-Up. I'm sure we've all heard of that one. I think I read somewhere. I know this is Soda Jerks. I should know my shit, but
it's an evolving, it's a learning podcast.
Right. Yeah, this is a venture to academia. Fizzly academia. I read that at one point Philip Morris owned 7-Up.
Okay. Nothing like a Lucky Strike and a 7-Up.
A&W. So they own A&W. Cactus Cooler.
That's a Mountain Dew type of beverage, if I remember right.
Ah, okay. I've never seen it. I'll have to try it.
I can't remember why that's in my head, but as far as deep brain knowledge goes, I think that's correct.
They own Canada Dry. They own Canfields.
I don't know.
Nope. I don't know what that is.
They own Crush.
All right.
Which I do enjoy an Orange Crush.
Is all right, yeah.
Mainly because of the REM song, and that's pretty much it, because otherwise it tastes like any orange soda I've ever had.
Fanta's still the best orange soda, though.
But that's Nazi Coke, so I don't really want to drink Nazi Coke.
So they did one thing right. One thing right.
They own Dr. Pepper. They own Hires Root Beer.
Not a successful one.
They own IBC Root Beer. I've heard of that one.
That is good. Only comes in brown bottles. Yep.
They own, and I'm going to mispronounce this, but I'm only going to mispronounce it because it very much looks like this. They own Orangina.
Oh, those are good. Those are very good.
You've had Orangina before?
I have.
I'm familiar with it. I've never heard it pronounced out loud, but that is how I've always
Orangina
pronounced
or
it in my head.
Orangina.
Okay, replace the V in vagina with
Orangina.
and you're there.
Orangina.
Orangina.
There you go.
If Garfield was a woman, he would have an orangina.
There's the vodka tendrils. I like it. They also own RC Cola, which we talked about last time. They own Schweppes.
Okay, Schweppes is pretty good ginger ale.
Schweppes is good, yeah.
So they kind of have cornered the ginger ale market.
Yeah.
Canada Dry and Schweppes.
They don't got the best ginger ale, though. Best ginger ale's Fanta ginger ale.
But they can't own all of them, right? Because I'm about to say, Fanta exists because one of the big things was, I learned this researching Dr. Pepper. Coca-Cola tried to buy Dr. Pepper. They tried to buy Dr. Pepper, but they were blocked because they already owned Mr. Pibb, and the government said, sorry, you'd have a corner on the pepper-flavored soda market.
Oh, all right. All right. Makes sense.
Which is, in fact, not pepper-flavored.
Yeah, I don't know but like...
I think pepper is one of the 23 spices that go into the soda.
But see, I think the court was like, well, it's not cola flavored, so it's probably pepper flavored. I don't know. Like,
let us buy it, and we will drag Pibb in here and shoot him in the head in front of everybody. Because once we have Dr. Pepper, we will execute Mr. Pibb.
Well, it's like you joke, but it's like when I was reading this, I was like, oh my God, Coke was like super shitty to the Dr. Pepper people because Dr. Pepper like couldn't handle all their bottling because they just didn't have like the bottling factories, I guess, to handle it. So Coke was like, we'll help you. We'll bottle it. So they're like, okay. And then Coke starts bottling it. And then like 3 years later, they're like, we're going to make Mr. Pibb, but we're going to call it Peppo. And then the court was like, you can't call it Peppo. And they're like, fine, Dr. Pibb. And the court was like, again, you can't call it Dr. Pibb. And they're like, fine, Mr. Pibb.
All right. Judges? All right.
And then a few years... Go ahead, Phil.
Let's start the wave of like Dr. Pepper knockoffs, like Dr. Wells and Dr. Thunder and everything else.
Dr. Thunder, man. That was my jam in high school.
Yep. And college.
That's my porn name, Dr. Thunder.
Mine's Peppo. It's like a real man is having sex with a woman, and then in the middle of they're like, get Peppo.
Peppo, that's the Mad Max anal slave tied to one of the cars.
This is too hot. Get Peppo out here.
Let the blood bag fuck Peppo.
They also own Squirt. Squirt.
All right.
Speaking of,
makes sense.
Fucking the blood bag, Peppo.
Put Squirt mother's milk in Pepto's sack.
Peppo, come on, it's not Pepto. That's
Peppo.
An entirely different
entirely
one.
different.
You got a bellyache? Go suck on Pepto. They own Stewart's Fountain Classics.
Okay, I'm familiar.
They own.
That sounds familiar.
Sundrop.
I used to love Sundrop as a kid.
They own Sunkissed.
Yeah.
They own. All right, you motherfuckers are gonna make this up. They own Sussex Golden.
Yeah, not familiar.
Is that a UK brand?
I think it might. It sounds like it might be.
Ross, is it?
Well, don't worry. There's
Yes.
going to be more episodes of Soda Jerks where we're going to dive deep into all of these.
This
Go ahead, Phil.
This is a deep well. I think you've stumbled onto something golden here.
This might be okay. So I'll do the sandwich podcast with Chris, and then this is probably just going to be my solo joint. I'm just gonna do soda reviews. I'm gonna go through all of Keurig Dr. Pepper brands.
Sussex Gold is a Canadian ginger ale.
All right, Canada, UK. That's pretty much
Same thing.
yeah,
Same thing.
Yeah, they own Venom Energy.
I've seen those discounted bottles at the dollar store. Yes.
They own Verner's, which I've heard of. and we've
Verner's is
had.
good. I've had Verner's.
And they own Wink,
Wink. That's the wine company, WINC.
WINK. They also own, these are not sodas, but they also own Deja Blue, which I just wanted to say because, man, what a fun name. They own Mott's, Hawaiian Punch, Snapple, and Yoo-Hoo. They own more, but we probably haven't heard of them.
Wink is basically their version of Fresca. It is a grapefruit-based soft drink.
I'm excited that you have likely put far more effort into researching this than you did with Wizardry 5.
I
Just a guess.
spent like 8 hours playing Wizardry 5, and I have drank probably 20% of those sodas I listed. So while you are correct on the research side, I've put the experience into Wizardry 5.
Well, Phil, what have you been up to?
Been camping at the Ren Fair.
Tell me about that.
Yes, share, please.
It's okay. It's an interesting experience. So Bulbasaur and Harold Arthur have been on a road trip for the past week and a half, and have left me bacheloring it. And
that is your wife and your son for new listeners.
that's my wife.
Jumping in on that Wizardry 5 kick.
Who's the weird guy who lives at a Ren Fair and has Pokemon for family?
So I've been by myself, which is for multiple weeks. After you've been living with someone for essentially your entire post high school life is fairly, lonely. So I joined up with a Renaissance Fair troupe. Their vacation coincided with the annual Canterbury Renaissance Fair nearby in Silverton, and it's a 2-weekend event. And there is a troupe of I guess you could call them entertainers called the Rat Catchers, who I found out later on it's essentially a group of like 3 or 4 families with their kids who set up shop at the Ren Fair, and what they do is they sell rat catching licenses, and they have their
Sounds
people
made
from their
up.
troupe. It does. One person did ask me if this was, in fact, a real thing that happened in the Renaissance, and I had to say, probably not. I don't think so. But
You could pretty much catch any rat you wanted to back then. You didn't really need a license.
the number of people who thought we were actually having live rats out in the fair is surprising.
All the kids, bring out the rats.
No, the kids knew what was up. The adults are like, are these real rats? No. Yes, they are real rats. They are not in any way grown adults with rat masks on and tails that they've sewed on to their belts. These are real rats.
And by that, you mean that's exactly what it is?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So for like $2, you buy a little license, and then the license is a bracelet that you wear, and then they chase the rats. There's usually like 3 or 4 of them that are going on throughout the fair, and the kids, it's essentially a game of tag. And when you catch the rat, they take a little piece of ribbon out of their pocket and they tie it onto the license, the bracelet, and then you're free to go tag another rat. And some of the rats will have the plague, which is a different ribbon, and you go back to the rat tent where we were set
Small
up
needles
shop,
full of AIDS blood. They just slip her in real quick. Out, plagued.
Were the adults like, now is that real plague or?
No, it's AIDS blood. We told you.
you signed the waiver, right?
It's the 80s plague.
Don't worry, Reagan doesn't think it's a big deal. It'll be fine.
Was good enough for Rock Hudson, good enough for your son.
But yeah, the plague doctor gives them a little like Jolly Rancher as a cure, and takes the plague ribbon off of their license, and they're free to go catch more rats. So it was a lot of fun, and they were they have a Facebook page, and they were asking, folks want to volunteer. Occasionally, folks want to volunteer, and if so, they can contact us through this way. And so I contacted them, and their first response was, we usually expect people that are more in like the 12 to 16 range, so we're not used to getting a 36-year-old single man to come and join us. But you seem like you're not a creepy weirdo, we think, so why don't you come on down? And so I joined them for the weekend. All the Renaissance Fair workers, they have a camp set up in the back fields behind the actual fairgrounds, and you just set up your tent and camp for the weekend. They have a traveling tavern that is out there that you can, after the fair is over, go out and hang out at the bar and drink and carry on. Hung out with the group of the rat catchers and kind of just hung out with a bunch of really fun, friendly strangers for the weekend and made some good new friends, and it was a lot of fun. And it was my first. I've been going to Renaissance fairs for 5 or 6 years before this, and had recently started acquiring in the past 2 to 3 years an actual outfit, an actual costume to go along with this, so I could actually blend in with them. That's one of the prerequisites to joining the Rat Catchers. You actually have to have a period appropriate costume. Last year, I had my Lounge Wizard costume, which was literally a blanket with Scooby-Doo on it, and that I tied it. That was like a poncho that my mom made, and it's fucking awesome. Not period appropriate, but I did wear it to fair, and it was a lot of fun.
I bet it was hot.
It was hot, but I'm usually only there at the fair for the morning for a couple hours. So it didn't get that bad.
I never understand. Like, did you ask them there, like the regular fair folk? Like, did you ask them, why do you have this in the like hottest fucking days possible? Like,
so in Oregon, we really only have like 2 to 3 guaranteed months when it's not going to rain.
Okay.
And I mean, we'll have good days during April, during May, whatnot, but you have no idea what the weather's going to be like. It might be shit. It might be great. So you really have to, if you're going to do some sort of outdoor festival activity, it's got to be in July, August, and September. And chances are it's going to be 85 degrees and above, which sucks. But the fairgrounds at Canterbury are pretty shaded. It's essentially under like this huge old oak grove that's had all like the briar bushes cleared out. So there's a good amount of shade there. It's not 100% uncomfortable. But the costume that I have, which is a kind of a Friar Tuck like set of robes, is relatively warm when you're out, running around from kids playing a game of tag. It got pretty sweaty and gross underneath there, so it's not the best. But I had a lot of fun. It was a pretty fantastic experience, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
They have rat catchers at the fair in Nashville. Because I've been to that a couple times. I wonder if they're like a knockoff group, or if it's a member of that family, or what.
This seems like a pretty local group of folks. So it's either just like another thing that has cropped up. I don't know. I'll have to contact them because there is another fair coming up.
Copyright infringement.
Yeah.
Are they called the Rat Catchers?
Man, I don't really remember, honestly, because it's been before Henry was born. So it's been years. But I know that they had rat catchers, and like the game that you mentioned where like the kids go and find, like, it was that thing.
Cool.
So, it seemed neat, but I have no idea if it's like just kind of like a members of that family, or if,
I would say almost definitely not members of that family, because it's a pretty small group. But they do own the Rat Catchers Facebook page, so maybe they're the original ones. I don't know.
I'll ask them. I'll make them aware that they're being ripped off.
Gotta do a deep dive. Everyone assault them on Twitter if they're real or not.
But no, it was cool. It was a lot of fun. Every year I go to the Ren Fair and I grab a few more accoutrements to my costume. So I've got this gigantic utility belt full of books and potion bottles and trinkets and stuff. So, and I was telling you guys before I cracked my my weapon cherry and actually bought a realistic looking weighted mace to go along with my friar costume. So next time I'm out and about, I will be armed. Yeah.
Was it?
So.
Have you dubbed it the Super Basher?
Well, it's only in the SNES version it's the Super Basher. So it's the Holy Basher in the PC.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's a Wizardry 5 joke for all you folks here who are waiting for us to get to the actual game content.
Yeah, everyone knew that. Everyone
Just
knew
wait.
that. Everyone heard Super Basher and they're like, oh yeah, there's the Wizardry 5 jokes.
I don't have anything to really carry it with though, so I need to go get like a ring for my belt to wear with it. But
you need a target shield.
I do.
See, I'm gonna take all the glory for your accomplishment, Phil, because I'm gonna say that because I know you're kind of an introverted person, so you're all of your outings on TADPOG have given you the bravery to go out to this Ren Fair and join up. So I'm gonna take all the credit for. You're welcome. You're welcome for us building your confidence and oratory skills. You're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been a long 6-year process, but you've gotten me to the point where I can actually hold a conversation with another stranger human being. So I appreciate that. It still is not. It's still the toughest part of the rat catchers is the salesman part, which
not the AIDS.
It's looking at a kid
easy.
and giving him AIDS.
I'm so sorry, but you're being a good sport about this. Now here's a Jolly Rancher. It's not going to get rid of the AIDS.
Is it an AIDS cocktail, Jolly Rancher? Nope, cherry.
Phil, it's crazy because it's like every time I'm around you, I never would have pegged you for an introvert, quite honestly.
Really?
Yeah, honestly, because it's like, I don't know, you just seem like a really cool, gregarious character to me. But maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's because you're. I don't know. We met in a much different way than I think a lot of strangers meet.
Well, it was a written word format for a long time, which is
right.
Phil's forte.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that is how I seduced my wife over a period of many years in college. So
creepy notes under a door, love it.
I'm much more charming in chat format than I am in actual human to human person contact format. But as you can tell from the gradual progression of this conversation over the past hour, lubrication helps a little bit with that. So
that's good. And almost all ways you can interpret that.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thanks for reminding me that we've been doing this for an hour. We should probably talk about Wizardry 5.
40 minutes.
I mean, I can cut that whole Soda Jerks thing out if you want. That probably took like 30 minutes. I can just lift it. We can put it on Patreon. It'll be fine. There'll be a weird gap where it's like...
I say you take all that and you double it.
Okay.
We just do it all over again. But go ahead and make this 80 minutes and just have it be Soda Jerks twice.
One more Soda Jerks?
Yeah.
I can get on Wikipedia.
Have you ever done a 30-minute stinger? We can do this 30-minute stinger.
Damn, we thought about that the other day.
Yeah.
About having like an hour-long stinger.
Here's this will be an interesting test, though. I'll be curious. So since I have apprenticed with the rat catchers, I have since befriend multiple members of them on Facebook, and I'll probably be sharing this episode on Facebook as well. So
they are not going to like the AIDS stuff.
That's the thing. I was planning on sharing this, and now I am not sure if I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I would not do that. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that because they most definitely give kids AIDS. No bones about it.
They also debone children.
Yep.
I've heard.
Allegedly.
You guys want to talk about Wizardry 5?
Let's do it. You hear that,
No.
Dave?
Phil, no. You're out.
Bye.
Like the main reason I came on this show was to share it with my new friends, the rat catchers, and you fuckers messed it up for me. I sat through 30 minutes of soda shit. Only for you to say they give kids AIDS. Fuck this shit. I really wish we could abruptly end the episode right there. Just everybody listening is like, what the fuck just happened? Did Dave as Phil get so upset that he ended the podcast?
That's like that one time when Josh wanted to call out of work when he was a delivery driver at Pizza Hut. And he told his boss that you had gotten in a car wreck, Dave.
Right,
and
I
you needed
remember
to
this.
leave. And his boss was a jerk about it. And Josh got so upset. He eventually left and came over so mad. Like, Dave got in a wreck and I couldn't leave. You know I didn't get in a wreck, Josh. Still, I was worried about you.
Still, I did not want to work.
He got so wrapped up in his lie, it became offensive.
It's not a lie if you believe it.
It's true. Oh, do you hear that, Dave?
I do hear that. It sounds like so many innocent children.
Come here, kid.
Ow!
Hey, kid, I think I left a quarter in the phone booth over there. Yeah, I know you've never seen one of those ever in your life, but could you check the change? Could you check the coin return? Do you remember that rumor? Where it's like people were hiding AIDS needles in the coin return on payphones. I remember hearing that as a kid, and it's like, okay, I'm never reaching my finger in there again because I don't know exactly what AIDS is, but I hear that it kills you.
But it sounds. I mean, Magic Johnson has it. I love Magic Johnson, so that can't be all bad.
Every Easter, Magic Johnson goes to phone booths and hides AIDS needles inside them.
It's his AIDS blood that he's like, no, it's reverse. Like, it's like an AIDS vaccination.
Of course I hear that, which ushers in a segment that we like to call Dave Reads from Wikipedia and is now afraid he's going to be sued by a Renaissance Fair troupe and Magic Johnson.
Allegedly.
Okay, guys, Wizardry V, Heart of the Maelstrom is the fifth scenario in the Wizardry series of role-playing video games. It was published in 1988 by Sir Tech Software Incorporated for the Commodore 64, Apple II, and as a PC booter using DOS. A port for the SNES, which is the one that we're going to be talking about here on this episode, all hail the randomizer, and the FM Towns, we'll get to you FM Towns games, relax. They were later developed and published by ASCII Entertainment in Japan. Wizardry V was released in the US for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System by Capcom in 1993 and subsequently re-released for the I don't know how to pronounce this, Satellaview subsystem?
That sounds right.
Does that ring a bell for anybody? Satellaview?
Vaguely.
Under the name BS Wizardry 5, which I love. It's BS Wizardry the number 5, not Roman numeral 5. So
Wizardry V don't make no sense.
We don't. We at
That's 5 in Roman numerals. Oh, are we in Roman? Put a goddamn 5 on it.
Shit's bullshit.
An American number made in America. 5.
The Satellaview connected
Lincoln's
to a
number.
Super Famicom with a BSX cartridge and memory pack. It was a Nintendo thing. I didn't know about it at all. Look at that guy. Stacks and stacks.
All right.
Trying to cash in on the Genesis stacks. That's pretty much it for Wikipedia. Phil, why are you here?
I am here because the local Blockbuster in my youth frequently had copies of Wizardry 5 available. For some reason, people did not rent this game very often, and I took advantage of that and rented it quite a bit. And like a kidnapped person, developed a love of this game over many rentals, and eventually ended up buying it from, I'm sure, some thrift store or somewhere. I'm not sure how I actually acquired the game, but I've played this game for upwards of 20 plus years.
Have you finished it before?
No, I've never beaten it.
I've
gotten far.
I want everyone to remember that.
Yeah.
Not to give you shit, but mainly just so that everyone realizes that you love this game, you've been playing it for 20 years, and you have not finished it. And once again, that's not against you. I just want everyone to remember that.
It's like Nicole and Banjo-Kazooie. So,
but it's different a little bit because like Wizardry 5, I get the impression that it is a very long game, and it is the kind of game that you are, man, if you don't look anything up, if you're trying to get the full enjoyment out of it and you're drawing maps and everything, like this game could take 20 years.
This game is obtuse as fuck, and there's not a lot of information outside of you got a good tome, a good instruction manual that comes with it, but not everything is in there. And there's a lot that is left out of there, and you just learn by dying. Essentially, this is a very unforgiving game, and most of my attempts to learn spells and monsters and items and everything was to die, reset, and try again.
See, I think it is unforgiving in a way, but on the other hand, I also think it's very forgiving because they give you an out and you can pretty much save. I mean, you can save scum your way through this, right?
Yeah, that's essentially what I do is, you can save anywhere you want. So whenever you're about to do something risky, save, do it, die, restart, and learn and move on from there.
And I think that like we definitely wanted you to come back on here because we talked about Might and Magic 3, which we mentioned earlier. I want to go ahead and get this out of the way. I think Wizardry 5 is a lot more fun than Might and Magic 3. I had a much better time with it. And I wanted to go ahead and say that now because we were talking about, how Wizardry 5 is obtuse as fuck, which I agree with that. But I think that it is less obtuse than Might and Magic 3 because, or at least the SNES version, because I could tell that the SNES version was designed, like Capcom was like, people are going to be playing this on the SNES. So we got to make it easy to play on an SNES. I don't feel like we got that in Might and Magic 3. I felt like we got, well, this is how it is in the PC version, so that's pretty much how it's going to be.
Just let them use the mouse.
Right. The SNES mouse that we all own.
I didn't like playing this game.
That does not surprise me.
But man, I loved watching you play this game.
You like watching me play this?
This was my favorite thing you have ever streamed on Twitch.
Really?
I thought it was so much fun collectively as a group. You having the map behind you and making the map I love watching you play this was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. I wanted to draw the map because Phil, you had mentioned to me that even in the instruction manual for Wizardry 5, they tell you essentially to draw the map.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wanted to get the real experience the closest way that I could because as a kid, I could see myself as 11, 12, 13. I could see myself getting lost in this game because I loved, drawing maps and level design and all kinds of stuff like that. It's like I had a binder full of graph paper for the longest time that I would just, I don't know, man, draw mazes
draw
on.
Square boobs.
Draw square. Pick a size. Pick a size of square boobs. You got them. So I would have lost myself in this game, and I think I would have loved it. And that kind of came through a little bit when I was playing it because drawing the map was weirdly satisfying. It was fun to start with pretty much nothing, and then at the end of 4 hours, pan back and look and be like, yeah, look at this map. It's I realize there's a whole lot more to this map, but it's kind of it's almost like a really, really slow version of revealing a map in Symphony of the Night. I got that same kind of feeling where it's okay, I've revealed more of this dungeon, but I know there's more. So let's keep going. Let's keep filling this map in. Let's see where this takes us. And I totally, even as a 37-year-old, got kind of swept up in it. I could totally see myself as a kid, in the summer break, for example, it would have been done. This would have been all I did for a summer, essentially.
And you had the advantage of doing this on you had a mapping, not a mapping program, but you had a program that you were using to build the map with, which kind of gave you free reign to draw it wherever. I went ahead and started my replay for this for the podcast. I got out some graph paper and started drawing it. But obviously with graph paper, you have edges, and if you don't center the map where it's supposed to be at, then all of a sudden you're going off edge, and it kind of fucks it up. So it's your process was a little bit slower, but also a lot more forgiving in terms of being able to kind of draw accurately and replace it and redraw it, and when you make mistakes and things like that. So yeah.
I know. I'm glad that you brought up the map and like how big it can get, because Wizardry 5 did some things for the series that were completely new. And one of those things, because for the most part, this is the first Wizardry game I've ever played. But for the most part, I feel like I did research, so it's like it's kind of one of those where it's like, well, these are things I've read. They're not personal accounts. But Phil, have you played any other Wizardry games?
So. Yes, this was the first one I played, and then when I had my PlayStation 2, there was a Wizardry game, like an offshoot that was not part of the original series that was made for the PS2. I didn't realize that until I think last week, that it wasn't actually part of the Wizardry series, and it makes sense because the tone and the feel of it is much more Japanese. It's got a very anime feel to everything with it, and so I feel like this is really the only Wizardry experience that I've gotten.
The reason I ask was mainly I was curious if you had played any games previous, like before Wizardry 5, because this game, before this game, apparently the map was restrained to like a 20 by 20 grid. And in 5, they break that, so they can not only dungeons can not only be larger, but they can be different shapes. They're not constrained to a square. Like you can have a long dungeon, with a lot of width. They can do stuff like that. They added NPCs to interact with in Wizardry 5. Up until this version of the game, that was not a thing. They added the ability for thieves to hide and ambush opponents, and they added a swimming skill, which I have been assured does come into play at some point.
Level 3 is when you run into your first pools, and essentially you'll run across a pool, and it'll have an undetermined number of levels to it. It might be 4 levels deep, it might be 10 levels deep, whatever. And each of your characters has a swimming skill of 1 that you start out with, and it's
probably good enough.
That means you can go to level 1 in that pool and be fine. If you want to go to level 2, you can, but you have a risk of drowning. But if you don't drown, then your swimming skill will get better. And so you essentially have to save scum your way towards improving your skill in swimming. And each level of various pools will have treasure and items, poison, status effects, death, just kind of everything. And it's just kind of a random grab bag. But yeah, it is, it's another interesting aspect of the game.
Are there other skills in the game, Phil?
I'm trying to think. I don't think, that is one thing where like Might and Magic 3 had this huge list of skills that you could choose from, and there really isn't any skills outside of just combat mechanics. There is one, the bishop / wizard is able to identify items on their own. The thief / ninja is able to hide and then in combat and then do, I think, double damage or triple damage when they attack. But in terms of like actual dungeoneering, I don't think there's any actual other skills that each class has. And see, I prefer the way that Wizardry 5 did it over Might and Magic 3, because I know Might and Magic 3 had other skills and had a lot of them, but it's like I don't want to like knowing that I had these skills were available, and I A, had no idea how to use them, B, had no idea why I would use them, and C, didn't know where to gain them. It was just like, this seems like garbage to me.
Well, that's how it was playing D&D for the first time too. I remember true. Forgery? When the fuck am I going to use forgery?
Answer, probably twice.
Yep. And the entire time that we have been gaming since we have been in our early 20s.
I think it honestly has come up like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. I can't think of anybody who's really used a lot of forgery.
And it's usually an NPC, because all the PCs are like, why would I take forgery when it's only come up 2 times? And it's also like, it's one of those skills where it's like, I don't know, I guess I'd take it if I wanted to like derail campaigns and be like, oh, you want us to go to this castle and fight this thing? How about I just write a letter from the king that says we don't have to do that? Roll a 20. Show it to the guy. We don't have to do this. I guess I'll be level 10 forever.
Thanks. Bye. Good game. Good game.
Good game. It was excellent. The finale was perfect.
What's your character's name? Forge.
Like the X-Man?
Yeah, but with like pins and shit.
He's not good with machines so much as he is with pins and shit.
In fact, like they didn't even call it forgery before him. They just called it paper lion. You had a question, Phil.
I was going to ask you what. I'm sorry. I feel a lot of guilt when I try and get the podcast back on track.
No, somebody's got to.
We're pretty much
to the listeners.
Somebody's got to. It's not going to be the host.
Yeah, we're relying on you, Phil. This is your your job.
What didn't you like? What turned you off about the game, Tyler?
The alignment mechanic was, now I understand it, but holy fuck was that frustrating. And rolling for classes and shit like that, like, I love character creation, so just getting started is frustrating.
Yeah, my character creation session took 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a long.
I mean, because you just have to because there's a lot about this game that is a good idea, but in practice, it falls apart. So, like, you need a good party to do well in this game, and to get a good party, you're going to go through a lot of bullshit at the beginning, and you need to know already how to balance a proper party.
Yeah, that's true, but I'll be honest, I feel like a lot of the character as far as, like, party balance, there are only, like, 6 classes that you can choose from, or maybe there's 7. But it's like, I feel like if you build a party of 6, so I feel like if you go into this with like any like D&D knowledge or something like that, you can probably piece together, well, I'm going to need somebody who can heal. And I probably might need a thief, and I'm probably going to need some frontliners, and it might be good to bring like someone who can cast spells for damage. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but what I definitely agree with is like how arduous a process it is to get a good party, because like, okay, so Dig Duggy gave me a hint, and he was like, you want at least 2 samurais in your party. And it's like, okay, no problem. Let's roll some samurais. And it turns out that in order to like play as a samurai, you have to meet certain ability conditions. Like, this is all, I'm making this up, but like your strength has to be 15, your discipline has to be 11. You know, it's like there are strict numbers that you have to hit, which wouldn't be a problem, but on average, the character that you're going to roll, whose ability scores are randomly generated, on average, you're not going to have a lot of samurais. No. You're going to have a lot of like thieves.
The video I watched, the guy who was very late in the game had a party of 2 lords, 2 samurais, a thief, and a wizard.
A lord, like that is like the hardest one to get, because it's like the lord has, I think, each ability score has a requirement where it's like even the samurai and the ninja are kind of lax, where they're like, you don't need to worry about luck or so much, you know, but like Lord is like, these are the numbers you got to hit at each ability score. And I mean, it's kind of cool because it's like the samurais, the lords, and the ninjas are all, and Phil, you taught me this, are all a combination of the lesser classes, which are fighter, mage, cleric, thief, and wizard. So it's like a samurai, for example, correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, that is essentially a fighter mage?
Yeah, it's a fighter who can cast spells. With a little bit less, you don't get the same number of weapons and armor, but you do get access to katanas and other samurai-specific weapons.
It's a red mage.
Yeah. It's red mage.
And then the lord is essentially a fighter cleric, is that right?
Yeah, it's a paladin. For pretty much.
And in the non-Nintendo version, is the Lord a Lord still, or is the Lord like? Oh no, in the SNES version, the wizard is a bishop, and the cleric is a priest. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. I did have it.
The SNES is we don't want any religious aspects to this. So bishops become wizards, priests become clerics.
And even the wizard is kind of a mix of classes too, because eventually the wizard starts getting cleric spells.
Yeah, they're kind of there's 4 basic classes and there's 4 specialty classes. The wizard is like the easiest of the specialty classes to get to. It doesn't require a whole lot of I think it requires like 12 intelligence and 12 devotion to get. So it's a pretty easy benchmark to clear. I did enjoy the class system they have here, which I think is originally designed that you get kind of a basic party of fighters, clerics, thieves, and mages, and then as you level up, your stats level up, and you can reclass. Like you can go back to the Adventurers Inn and change your class. You know, if you have a fighter who's leveled up and you meet all the benchmarks for a lord, you can become a lord. You start back as a level 1 lord. You still retain some of your base, I think, hit points and statistics, and you can kind of start anew, which is pretty cool. I enjoyed that aspect of it. When you are creating characters, there's a dice rolling mechanic where you have your basic stats and then you get anywhere between like 8 and 12 bonus points to add on to create your character. Every like 10th or 20th roll, you'll get a huge bonus of, you know, I had I think I rolled a what was going to be a thief, you know, a hobbit class, which has a lot of luck and agility, which was Tyler in my party. And I had a 47-point bonus to his stat roll. So I had 47 extra points to put into all of his stats. And so I just pumped him up as beefy as possible and turned him into kind of this super powered samurai who, you know, this little diminutive hobbit samurai who
they
was
always say I'm a beef boy. That Tyler's a real beef boy samurai.
So that's kind of unfortunately, you know, in later games, in later RPGs, the re-rolling process is often just like you press re-roll and it re-rolls your stats. Here, you actually have to like create the character,
name it,
name the character,
choose a race.
Yeah, you have to create the entire character, which if you're efficient at it can take 30 to 60 seconds, and then delete it and then create it again to get another re-roll. So it is an arduous process to try and get that perfect starting party if you don't want to like build up for it.
I think the maximum, because there's a guide on GameFAQs as far as like character rolling, and I definitely wanted to check it out because being me, I was like, I want everybody maxed out. I want this to be a smooth smooth ride.
Don't got a lot of time, got to make it good.
Let's do it. What I discovered is that 60 is the max roll that you can get.
Yep.
And
Jesus.
That is like a 0.2% chance of happening. So what ended up happening was like anytime it was over 10, I was like, all right, you're in. We're good.
Yeah. Yep.
You could be the strawberry of this party. Go ahead. All right, you're in.
Yeah, I didn't have a strawberry. That's a shame. I should have thought about that.
Tyler, you're talking about the alignment system in here, which for 20 plus years, I didn't understand how it worked until I actually looked it up today leading into the podcast. And your characters, so alignment is important in this game in that different classes have to be certain alignments. Some classes like the ninja are evil only. Some classes like the lord are good only, and they cannot mix in the party. So you have to have neutral characters can be with both good characters or evil characters, and that's fine. But your characters will change alignment in the dungeon, and for the decades that I had played this game, it seemed completely arbitrary. Like they will randomly change alignment in your party, and so they can exist together. You'll have your good and your evil characters after they've changed in the party. But if you go back to town and if you kind of change your parties around, which happens if you die and you have to go to the temple, or if you're paralyzed and have to go to the temple, or if you go to the training grounds and change classes, then it kind of your party disbands and then you have to reform them. But if your alignments have changed in the party, then your evil characters won't mix with your good characters. And there is a way around that. You can go down into the dungeon.
But it's a pain in the ass.
But it's a pain in the ass. and I didn't understand what that mechanic was, but apparently there are random good, quote unquote, good monsters in the dungeon that if you come across them, it'll ask you, do you want to fight this wandering group of monsters, or do you want to leave them? And if you choose to fight them, that is considered an evil act and will turn your alignment evil. That is nowhere in the text of the manual. I looked for it. That is just kind of, it's just a mechanic that is not explained, and it's one of the frustrating parts of this game that definitely kind of colors it in a negative light for me.
But now we know.
Because when you were telling me, I was like, why do characters randomly change alignment in a dungeon? That's fucking awful.
It's like, I can understand if you like attack an helpful NPC, but it's like the encounters that you're going through in there is like, they're regular enemies that you're normally fighting. It'll say like a group of magicians attack, or it's like fight or leave. And it's like, fight, I guess, because I fought like 200 magicians down here.
And monsters will sometimes surprise you. So I would think, do you want to fight? Like, oh, I got the jump on these guys, so them getting the jump on me.
Right, exactly. I thought, it's the I thought it was the reverse end of that mechanic, totally. Which I think is natural to think that.
Yep.
But I still honestly think that even with all that, this was a more straightforward endeavor than Might and Magic 3, like trying to figure out the fucking hieroglyphics that is the menu system in Might and Magic 3. In Wizardry 5, everything's spelled out, and all your options are kind of right where they need to be. You don't have to like, all right, I'm in the middle of this thing. Well, let me go all the way over to the right and then back down. Like everything's nice and kind of like it's right there. Everything you need to navigate through the menu is just right there, and I really appreciate that.
And it's so fast and efficient, and if you're moving through from character to character, like you're selecting your first character in your party and you have him, sleep in the inn. When you come back out, it'll have your second character selected, so you can go back, and then it'll have your third character selected, and it'll go back. If you choose to inspect a trap in the game after you have defeated enemies and they've left a chest, when you go to disarm the trap, there's a list of maybe 20 traps that it could be.
Yes.
And it will automatically select the trap that you had identified. So the menu system really makes it, a fast kind of move through it. And it's so refreshing after playing Might and Magic 3, and that was just a slog to try and get through the menus.
And I feel like Might and Magic 3, just moving around in the world, felt like it took a lot longer. Because it's like...
Yeah.
I mean, it was just very like, it felt like moving in a dungeon or in the overworld in Might and Magic 3. It kind of felt like you're trudging in comparison to Wizardry 5, where, I mean, it's still not super fast. You're still very much going like tile to tile to tile. It's not like Wolfenstein 3D or Doom or anything where it's like seamless motion. You're very much looking at a screen with brick wall, another screen with brick wall, but it's going faster. And those,
David...
Go ahead, please.
So I'm not sure if you got a chance to experience this, but if you press the forward button down, you essentially sprint. It automatically like goes as fast as possible through, as a straightaway as you possibly can. If you press the A button, which allows you to open doors, that moves you forward one. So you can actually kind of maneuver left and right with the joypad and then press A to move forward. To kind of maneuver through the dungeon a little bit faster. The shoulder buttons, the L and R, will strafe you left and right.
Sure.
And there's these little kind of like these little things that kind of make it a little bit more of an enjoyable experience to maneuver around. And the feedback is so fast compared to Might and Magic 3 that it's just, if you know the dungeon, if you know the maze, which after playing the first level dozens of times,
for 20 years.
I kind of know the first level out pretty well, and I can maneuver through that really quickly and get through it really fast. And you were kind of commenting on how long and how little you had explored over your 4 hours of gameplay. But like after you play that a whole bunch, you can really, really just rip through it without a whole lot of effort, which is nice and not something you can get from.
Do we know how many levels there are?
Endless.
There are 8. There are 8 total.
It's the abyss.
Yeah.
8 total plus like the secret level 777. which Tyler you had looked up.
I watched a video.
Yeah, what is 777 other than being lucky?
Because finding any like YouTube videos or anything on this, like not a lot of stuff on it. And the majority are it on DOS and not Super Nintendo. But the playthrough I watched, one guy that had built his ideal party of the Lord of the Samurai, because he said like Lord's the best, Samurais are great. You got to have a thief if you want to do it, and you got to have a wizard to identify shit. That's your best party. And that he had gone through and he was farming all these materials and shit like that so he can get it and go down to the secret level 777 where all the hardest monsters in the game were and all the secret shit. So I didn't finish it. It was hours and hours and hours long, so I did not keep watching.
Well, I like Go ahead, Phil.
I was say I believe level 777. I believe that level has a deity as kind of a boss. You had gotten to the Temple of Brotherhood in the first level, where the cleric there always proclaims Lala be praised. And from what I understand, Lala Mumu is a deity in the Wizardry series. And you actually get to fight Lala Mumu in level 777 in this game, and that's where you get the best weapons and armor as drops if you kill Lala Mumu and its various kind of sub bosses there.
There is no cow level.
There's no cow level.
That's just what Lala Mumu makes me think of. It's fucking Diablo, and it's like, is that like a weird like reference to wizardry?
A little bit.
Maybe.
Because like Lala Mumu is a very stupid name. I want to go on the record and say that. I do think that Wizardry 5 definitely slacks in the naming shit category because it's
some pretty good NPCs. Some pretty good NPCs pop up.
Yeah. So it's like the gnome cleric that you meet, like one of the first NPCs who like tells you what this orb of the Brotherhood is like all about. His name is Gobbledygook. So like there's that.
But I mean, to be fair, that's a pretty common gnome name.
It is. It is. You're right.
I think you fight a very small enemy called a Gobbledygook in Final Fantasy VI.
I think
which,
you're right.
as you told me, came out the same year as this game.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 6/3 came out in North America the same year as Wizardry 5 came to the SNES.
Yeah, which puts this game in a weird perspective for me because it very much feels like a game out of time. Because as a kid, like, I can't say I would have faced against Final Fantasy VI and the games of that ilk. I could not have gotten into this. If I'd played Final Fantasy VI first and then tried to play this, wouldn't have worked. Would not. It's like when Kendra was little. If I fed her the sweet potatoes and then tried to feed her the green beans, it's not going to work. It's going to be the other way around.
Come on, man. Green beans are like so much better than sweet potatoes, like on every level.
When a baby, when you just want that sweet shit.
I don't know, man. Green bean. I'm all about the green beans.
If I gave her green beans first, she'd chow them down.
Yeah.
Give her sweet potatoes first. Try to give her green beans. The fuck is this?
Oh, man. I got to tell you, I like potatoes a lot. I don't really believe that sweet potatoes are really a potato because, like, sweet potatoes are the worst.
Man, we got to take you to Tater Day. Teach you about some good taters.
Some good taters.
Good taters.
So in the PC port,
Vodka.
Phil, you're fired.
Lalamumu is a dragon in the PC port. In the SNES port, it's a llama wearing a toga.
All right.
I like to think that was Capcom being like, that's a stupid fucking name. There is like, so Tyler, you said that this game feels like a game out of time.
Yeah, I would have had to have been younger to be able to enjoy this game. Like, if I played it in 1991, 92, when I had time. But again, like, this might have been beyond me at that age. Like, 7, 8 years old, I'm not going to get this game. So I don't know when is a good time that I would have had time and intelligence enough to decipher this game and enjoy it.
And to put it into more perspective, and keeping with the comparison to Final Fantasy, this game, when it originally came out in 1988, I believe that Final Fantasy 1 was already out. So I think Final Fantasy 2, the Japanese Final Fantasy 2, and Wizardry 5, the original release, came out in the same year. And then, to make it even weirder, is, I mean, Capcom ported this to the SNES like 5 years later. So it's like, and I was reading that when Wizardry 5 came out originally in 88, reviewers were like, this looks dated and archaic. And on the PC, it really does because it's like there are no wall or floor textures. It's just a black screen with like white wireframes that like give you some semblance of a 3D space, but not really. I mean, I say 3D space like very loosely. It gives you an idea where it's like, okay, I can imagine there's a wall to my right. Capcom adds textures to the walls, which is a big improvement. But still, it's like, this is very boring.
Like and not a dig on Ian, but I feel like if I was of Ian generation, this game would have been timed pretty perfectly for me. So I feel like anything beyond that this game is a little, it's just not the right time for you to play this game. Like as an adult, like I kind of love watching you play this game and seeing you figure it out. Like that was really fun, but like, I feel like this is not the time for us to dig into a game like this exactly, you know?
No, it's definitely not. And it's like, I think on that stream, I even said, you know, like if I didn't do a weekly podcast with random Super Nintendo games, I could probably like stream Wizardry 5 until it was over because it was so much fun. I had such a good group in there in Twitch chat who were like not only helping, but it's like cracking jokes. It was weird. It felt like a very weird D&D session because it's like technically we are going through a maze and fighting monsters and we're making jokes at the same time.
Everybody being upset about Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. Frank, my hobbit thief who died constantly. Constantly he was Frank Reynolds. I named after Frank Reynolds. I named all my characters in my party like after different characters that I played in D&D games would associate with the races, where it's like a dwarf, well, the Gehrman, a dwarf that I've played twice in 2 different games. Also, Glim. He was my gnome wizard in not only your D&D game, but in Wizardry 5. And then I was like, Hobbit. Well, I want a Hobbit in the party because they make the best thieves, but I've never played a Hobbit before, nor have I really played a memorable halfling, which is the Hobbit adjacent.
Yeah. But I say, I'm trying to think of a halfling character of yours.
I don't think I have one.
Yeah, I don't think you do either.
That's a blind spot. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just make Frank Reynolds from Always Sunny. He's Hobbit-like and steals things.
Perfection.
And he died constantly in the dungeon. Or if he didn't die, he was like the one who was like, had 2 hit points, where everyone else has 20 left. And it's like, well, we have to go back to town because Frank's hurt.
Good. Roscoe. Roscoe's a halfling thief.
I forgot about Roscoe. Yeah. But Roscoe's more NPC territory.
It's true.
It's interesting that you kind of brought up the time frame of this, Tyler, because that's literally a note that I have, that this game is a product of its time. That this it's almost, with the mapping so encouraged, it's kind of this, like, it has to be the right age point with the right time when that was something that would be considered a feature. It's almost like an extra bonus interactive element of the game that you have this video game, but you also in the real world get to interact. You have to draw your own map and make that part of your gaming experience. Whereas if you have a game, if you have a maze type game now and it didn't come with a map, you would be pissed off. That would be a huge negative feature. And there is a map in this game. There are spells that allow you to do the map, but
how good is that, by the way? Not to like derail us, because I never used the map spell. Like,
it's good. No. I use the map spell to confirm what I'm drawing on the map, but you only have a limited number of spells before you have to go back into town. So I don't.
Gobbledygook has a trinket you can buy from him that lets you just use an item and generate the map, but it's super expensive. He's at the beginning, and you only see him the one time before he disappears, and he's gone forever.
He's not gone forever.
Oh, okay.
If you go back to town and then go back in the maze, and this is how it is for all the NPCs. If you go back to town and go back in the maze, then they will respawn in the maze where they typically are.
But you were also telling us about a treasure pot that you can steal from that then will kill you.
If you're curious if Frank tried to steal the trinket from Gobbledygook, the answer is yes, he did. He tried to. He only managed to steal about 800 gold before he was caught. I just kept kept attempting to steal the, like, eventually it's going to give me the trinket, right? No, it didn't.
So I'm curious, did you guys ever own one of those or know people that had the electronic football games?
I've heard of them, but I've never known someone who owned them.
I mean, I bet Dennis did.
This game strikes me as kind of something similar, where it is a product of its time, whereas this would only be popular with a specific age group in a specific time in history, and at no other time would it ever be considered like a viable product. And I really think that's kind of how this fits, like from 1988 to maybe 1992.
Like, this makes sense. I would like to see, like, the next season of Stranger Things. Will sits down to a computer and plays this on DOS and names some sort of enemy from the Upside Down, like La La Moo. It's a La La Moo.
And if that happens, we'll know that the Stranger Things people definitely listen to this show.
Yeah.
It's weird. In the new season of Stranger Things, like they play Might and Magic 3, they play Wizardry 5, all the kids get AIDS. They definitely listen to TADPOG.
They exclusively eat Daniel-style chicken from the back of the Dollar General.
Did you mention that because I'm wearing the Dave-style chicken shirt? I'm wearing the Dave-style chicken shirt, which Phil actually designed. The designer is on the show. I wore it today to record because this is a shirt I don't mind getting sweaty. And shirts.tadpog.com if you want your own. I went to the gas station to pick up this Monster energy drink, which I mentioned earlier, I wish I got a Venom. The girl behind the register gave me the weird, she gave me the pityingest look that I think I've received in a very long time.
Did you get that at a Goodwill?
She looked at me like she didn't think that she and I were on the same intellectual plane.
Did you buy a Goodwill shirt because it looks like you, kind of?
Sir, is that chicken you on the shirt?
Sir, are you a chicken polymorphed into a man? Oh, shit.
Oh, Tyler, you were asking Phil. I interrupted. You were asking Phil about the pot of gold.
Yeah, like you said that in the DOS version that there is like this treasure, a pot of gold with a face on it that can give you hints. But you can also steal gold out of it, and it will always fail and track you down until you're dead.
That was my experience yesterday trying to steal from the Laughing Kettle, and it caught me 3 times in 3 attempts, which was enough to teach me otherwise. And it will. It's a level. It's on the first level of the maze, and it just obliterates you. Every attack it does will do 20 to 40 hit points worth of damage.
Good lord!
When you have 20 to 40 hit points worth of hit points, and it will also paralyze you and put you to sleep, and occasionally just outright kill you. But that's one of the things. This character is one of the things that's kind of a holdover from the Apple II version, where you would, when you ran into NPCs, you would actually type in your commands. You would type in your text to them, and the Laughing Kettle that you talk to for donations, it will give you hints as to kind of how to maneuver in the game. So like the first donation for 100 gold, it'll tell you that to essentially interact with other NPCs, you need to type in "Hail friends."
Oh my god.
So that when you run into other NPCs, if you type "Hail friends" in, then that will initiate a conversation into otherwise.
Man.
Yeah. And in this game, it eliminates that entirely. Whenever you talk with an NPC, you will.
Jesus Christ, that is so obtuse. Like, that is the worst.
100%. You talk to an NPC, and it goes through an automatic dialogue screen of the NPC talks, and then essentially the last proper noun that they say, you then pose as a question automatically, and then it answers that question, and then you pose another question automatically, and it's just
in the
slog
SNES
of text.
In the SNES version. right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, anytime I had an interaction with an NPC, I did get like an exposition dump automatically.
Yeah.
Where
and then at the very end, it'd be like exposition dump.
right. Yeah.
And then you would go through that.
And then you get another wall of text. And then finally, the NPC's like,
Wall of
okay,
text?
bye. And then disappears.
Okay, bye.
So in the other versions with like, you had to type in conversations on the keyboard.
Yeah, and supposedly if if in games of that era, if you type in curse words, it would respond in kind back to you with pithy comments back. So there was a little bit more meat to the conversations for the PC version than for the SNES.
Yeah, but how do you get the information that you need? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess that's...
I don't know.
Because it's like, if it were a D&D game, like, a DM would... Most of the DMs I know, I can't speak for all DMs, but most of the good DMs that I know would be like, oh, they didn't ask about this thing that really they need to know about, like, in order to like really progress the story that I've created. So this NPC is just going to mention that. And then hopefully one of the PCs is like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean about this MacGuffin that you just mentioned? But it's like a video game has no way of doing that. You know what I mean?
Why did no
like,
one in that tavern talk to me? You didn't say hell friends.
Right, yeah.
Sorry.
Exactly.
Joke's on you.
He thought you were an enemy.
Well, now your alignment's evil. Now
Right?
you can't be in the party with that one guy. Because I was listening to like the DOS version and that characters, because multiple people could play on the same record and have multiple parties going in the dungeon, so characters were password locked. So if someone else got on your record, they couldn't take your characters into like their party or into a dungeon, and that at certain intervals, it would ask you for passwords that you'd have to look to prevent piracy. You'd have to look in the manual for these passwords that you'd periodically get asked by NPCs or doorways or shit like that.
If you didn't answer correctly, like, did you die?
I guess you probably just couldn't progress. That was just it. Nope, you got a party copy. Womp womp.
Which, in the SNES version, which is I actually kind of think is a cool mechanic, you essentially have one save slot for the entire game and multiple instances of like single-use items. So if you go to get the Orb of Lilgamin, which is a unique item in the first level, which allows you to enter the Temple of Brotherhood, if you restart a new party and go into the dungeon, that orb is not going to be there anymore because it's already been collected. So you can have multiple parties in the dungeon at once, and they can actually interact with each other. If you know where your first party had saved, then you can go to where that exact square in the dungeon where they saved. And I believe if you use the search function, then you can find that party and then trade items back and forth with them, which is on the one hand, just kind of feeds into how obtuse and kind of weird this game is, but on the other hand, it's pretty neat. That,
it is neat, yeah.
That you can have kind of this. It gives the dungeon, it gives the maze almost a living feel to it. That it's been lived in, that it's been used, and that when you go back into town and sell items to the shop, that those items are there in the shop. If you go sell a bunch of high level items to the shop, they will be there for the next party to go buy, and there are only as many items as you have sold to the shop. There are, just like Might and Magic 3, there are only, some items like the very basic short swords, long swords. Yeah. They're gonna have an infinite supply, but of the specialty weapons, they will only have a certain amount that you have sold back to them. Which I think it's a pretty fun aspect to it, if not a little bit frustrating in its implementation.
Yeah, I think it's a fun quirk for sure. And you mentioned Might and Magic 3, which made me think of another big difference between these two games, and that is like in Wizardry 5. I don't think we've specifically said this yet. There's really no overworld. Like when you're doing all this town stuff, like when you're buying things and you're recruiting adventurers, aka rolling characters, you are doing that in the only town. It's very much, in this regard, it's very much like Diablo, where there's a town, well, the original Diablo, where it's like there is a town and there's one dungeon, and that dungeon has floor after floor after floor. and you're just going deeper and deeper into that dungeon. Which in Might and Magic 3, you had this overworld that you would travel, and then there were dungeons, but those dungeons were very small in comparison to the dungeon that is Wizardry 5.
Yeah, Wizardry 5 is there. Everything is maze. There is 90% maze, and that's about it. A little bit of town, a little bit of castle experience, but most of it's just navigating the maelstrom.
I like that. I prefer that because it's like in a game that's not like easily accessible. Because I think Wizardry 5 is more accessible than Might and Magic 3, but they're both, let's face it, not very friendly games. Between those two, it's like I would much rather just like, okay, no, there's only one dungeon. Great. Like it narrows it down a little bit where it's like I never have to worry, oh, do I need to get a key from another dungeon and then bring it back into this dungeon to open a door? That is never even a concern. It's just like everything that I need is in this dungeon. I just have to find it. And it's weird because it's like, I guess if you look at it in the wider view, you could say in Might and Magic 3, oh, it's anywhere in the game. You just gotta find it, which is very much the same as like Wizardry 5 because the game is the dungeon. But I don't know. Wizardry 5 felt more friendly to me than Might and Magic did.
I can agree with that.
A few last minute things I wanted to point out. The combat in the game, all the weapons have different ranges that affect different that are affected differently depending on where you are in the combat. So you have a 6-person party. Your first three characters can essentially attack anyone that you want. The last 3, they need to have weapons that are short range or further back. Close range is like you can only attack from the first three parts of the party. Short range, medium range, long range, you can attack from the back rows of the party, which is frustrating at first because essentially with a level 1 party, your 3 frontline fighters do damage, and your 3 backline characters, they really can cast maybe 1 or 2 spells, or they parry. But once you actually get those weapons and are able to kind of maneuver your party based on who has what weapons, then there's a little bit of there's some small strategy in terms of giving someone, maybe a bow or maybe a pike or a halberd, something that can attack from the back row. So I thought that was kind of an interesting mechanic that gave a little bit more depth to combat.
Yeah, I like it too. I like the front row, back row stuff, and like how the weapons interact with that row mechanic. Yeah, I think it's really cool. And I know that I read that Wizardry 5 was kind of different and had all these things added to the series that didn't exist before because this game was actually originally designed as an entirely different game. And it was pitched to Surtech, and they were like, we really like this, but we want you to redo it as a Wizardry game. So I've read that that's where a lot of these like newer things came to the series.
Okay.
From. Small pet peeve. The spell system is really hard. So all the spells
you don't love nonsensical fantasy names for basic common sense spells?
Yeah, so all the spells are in a different language. That is a completely made up language. And whenever you want to cast a spell to do basic things like heal a party member or cure them of poison or paralysis, you have to go find the instruction manual and search up what Dumapic or Dialco or Milwa or whatever other sort of nonsensical spell name they have, what that equates to. So yeah, that's frustrating. If you're a Wizardry fan, these spell names persist across the entire series from 1 through 5 and beyond. It's the same spells. But when you're first picking it up, you have no idea what they do. And it's outside of the ones that you use over and over again, like your healing spells or your map spell. It's really easy to forget what they do, and you're just constantly having to go back and find out what is the spell that cures poison, what is the spell that cures paralysis, what is the spell that causes damage. So that's annoying.
Yeah, that is kind of annoying. I get it. They want to immerse you in the world, but yeah, I mean, And if there weren't that many spells, it wouldn't be a big deal. But there are a lot of spells in this game. I mean, each class kind of has its own spell, its own list of spells, and there are a lot of those.
It just reminds me of playing D&D with Leva whenever she played an Arcane Trickster, and she's like, my character wouldn't like the way all these spells are named, so I'm going to rename all of my spells to what she would like them to be called.
Yeah.
So then she would call out her names for the spells, and everybody at the table would be like, what?
What is Icy Stars?
Yeah. Hasty getaway? What? Expeditious retreat. Oh, okay.
But I also want to add that the reason this is not a video podcast is because the entire time Phil was explaining spell names, Tyler and I were silently trying to kill a mosquito. He would take a swing at it, and it would fly towards me. I would take a swing at it, and would fly towards him. We're doing this like looking at each other, speaking with our eyes while Phil is talking.
You get it. It's closer to you. Yes, my friend.
Permadeath is a thing. I'm not sure if you've run across this, but when your characters die, they get the status ailment Doom, which you need to go to the Temple of Cant to revive them, and you pay an exorbitant amount of gold that is as a function of their level. The higher level they are, the more it costs. And there's a chance of failure with that. And if it fails, then they turn to dust.
Yeah, I think they have to fail twice, right? Because it's like...
Yeah, and to revive someone from dust costs so much more than the original exorbitant amount. And that also can still fail, in which case it deletes the character permanently from the file, and they are gone forever. And unlike with the save file, like when you save an out party and can return to it, once you're in town, that is kind of an auto save feature. So if you die, if your character is obliterated at the Temple of Cant, you cannot return to them. So essentially, when I would play a game and a character died, I would just restart from a save file within the dungeon because I didn't want to face possibly losing a level 13 character.
But then you don't get the dramatic scene where they try to raise the character from the dead, where it's
Murmur, chant, implore.
Frank lives. Organ music plays, and it's just like, all right, that was definitely worth 500 gold. That was definitely worth fake money. There are little dumb, quirky things like that where it's like, if you're in the dungeon and you press up to go forward when a wall is in front of you, like the text screen just shows up. This is ouch. It's just shit like that where it's like that they knew that you needed feedback, that that something was happening.
And you get a sound effect when you hit the wall as well,
right.
Which is nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
And who is that Duck of Sparks?
He's the spiritual consultant.
Yeah.
So you can get the rubber duck from, I forget, there's a character in level 3 that has the rubber duck, which allows you to dive into pools as deep as you want without having to have any sort of skill level.
No condom or nothing.
No condom or nothing.
As deep as you want.
And you trade that rubber duck condom to the Duck of Sparks, and I think he gives you something. I'm not sure what, but then you can go back to the character that gave you the original rubber duck and get another rubber duck back. But yeah, the llamas and togas, duck wizards. This game has a lot of nonsensical shit into it, which gives it a little bit of character, but also adds to how obtuse it is.
Yeah, but I like that character, honestly, because it's like it's kind of tongue in cheek. A lot of it is because it feels like an old school D&D game, like maybe a second edition game that that just isn't very serious. Like it's kind of like a beer and peanuts kind of like tabletop D&D game where it's like the focus was dungeon crawling. I mean, that's pretty much that's what you do in this game is you dungeon crawl, and there's silly stuff that's thrown in. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's not meant for you to take it super seriously. And it's like weird because it's like when we play D&D now and like, when a lot of people play D&D, like there's joking and stuff like that. But a lot of like the games I see played and the games that I play in and the games that I've run have silly elements in it. But for the most part, it's like a dramatic story that's being told, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I never like the games that are entirely silly where it's like, all right, go to Clown Fart Keep.
Yeah, they get grading.
Gotta fight Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Oh, well, all right. Gotta watch out for socks.
Socks, yeah, the Great Worm Dragon socks.
And Bill's construct saxophone. The saxophone golem that you have to fight. All right,
never mind. All right, we're doing
this game. Patreon exclusive. The Bill Clinton era White House game.
Can we expand it to the ex-president's expanded universe?
Yes, I love it. Presidents of future past.
So, does this game belong on IGN's top 100 Super Nintendo games?
Not a chance, man.
No.
I enjoyed it quite a bit, but not a chance. I mean, just because I enjoyed it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like looking at
It's a very certain type.
Yeah, very much.
It's a game.
Is this?
Go ahead, Phil.
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, is this game better than some of the games on the original IGN list? I think so, but the original IGN list also holds back a number of good games like Secret of Evermore, Lufia 1. Like, there's a lot.
Wait, I thought you said
actual...
good games.
Hey, don't you just besmirch these quality products.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
I'm fucking with you. Yeah, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, good game. I mean, yeah.
In the actual list of the top 100 games, this doesn't belong on there. This could knock out, I think, a couple of different games on there, if only because there isn't a first-person dungeon crawler on the top 100.
I could say there should be one. That is a genre in and of itself. I would put one of them on the list. Until we're done, I don't think we can judge which one should be on the list. But
it might be Eye of the Beholder. Yeah. Potentially. It might be. I don't know.
Of all the ones we've played, this is the best.
I don't think it belongs on. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think there isn't any like SNES exclusive first-person dungeon crawler like there is for the Genesis. I think all the SNES games of this genre are just ports from the Apple II.
I can see where that's also a disqualifying feature.
Yeah,
that it's a port. Yeah,
port of a PC game is
for Genesis. You know, Shining in the Darkness, part of the Shining series, is a first-person dungeon crawler, and it's good, and it has all the features of like a Shining Force kind of.
I've heard a lot about that, and I've been interested in that.
I bought it on Steam a while back, and I played through the first dungeon of it, and it's good. Like, I definitely recommend it. It's in the same vein as this, but has a lot of that kind of anime kind of feel to it, and it has its own personality, which I would recommend playing for sure.
The FM Towns version of Wizardry 5 had like an anime kind of like style to the art, and more so than the SNES version and like the Apple II version. And I think it's interesting. Hardcore Gaming 101 has an article on Wizardry 5, and it's really good because they include a whole bunch of comparison screenshots, and you can kind of see where it's like, on the PC versions of this game, like, there are very sexualized monsters. Like, I mean, there's like lots of cleavage, lots of leg, that kind of stuff. And it's like less clothing. And, you know, they dial it back in some of the other versions, but in the SNES version especially, it's like the most clothes, no breasts are shown, no legs are shown. It's like very, like they even like redrew sprites completely because it's like in the Apple II version.
A dragon, how pornographic. Lamo with a toga.
Right. But I mean, it's like the succubus and like
succumbus, please.
I'm sorry, the succumbus has many different forms depending on which version of the game you're playing. Because like the Apple II version has like a close up of like a very, very disturbing like winking woman with like just the worst lips that she's licking, and she's got this like Lucille Ball hair and horns. And it's like, but the
like a good Lucy Ethel hybrid.
Yeah, right. That we all need.
A demonic Lucy Ethel.
So Lucy Ethel.
My jam.
But it's like the FM Towns version has like the succubus is essentially a topless woman who's like leaning back, seducing somebody.
Jerkable. Yeah.
Definitely jerkable.
A succumbus has got to be jerkable. Let's be honest.
Solidly jerkable. But in the Super Nintendo version, they're just like, they just put a whole bunch of clothes on that sexy demon. Even the title screen, like the title screen of Wizardry 5 is a giant heart shape, not like a beat heart, but like a cutesy heart that's drawn with a sword through it, kind of like a mom tattoo, classic mom tattoo.
Yeah, of course.
That's being held up by two kneeling women. And those women are naked in like every other version of the game, but in the SNES version, they are wearing like drab, like Ultima Online resurrection robes. We're going to leave everything to the imagination.
We're going to dress any woman like Jesus, like white Jesus. Just a robe and a rope and some sandals.
I'm sorry, I think you mean white Kanye. Anyway, sorry, I went on my pro body rant. I don't know. I get it. Nintendo's marketing to kids, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, man. Ease up a little bit.
I mean, make it a statue and roll with it.
It's fine. You don't like in Might and Magic. It's like you don't need to put like a neon bikini on the statue. It's okay.
You got any achievements?
Thank you, Phil. Because I was like, there's something we do next.
I've listened to this for 520 plus episodes.
I'm so sorry. Much like Wizardry 5, which is a Stockholm Syndrome game, we're your Stockholm Syndrome podcast. The law of the sunk cost fallacy dictates that you continue listening to this show.
You're my Gypsy Rose, Phil.
I do have some achievements that came in from Twitch chat. I got a lot of achievements from Twitch chat. Thank you very much to everybody who hung out in the stream and submitted achievements. If you're interested in submitting achievements for a future episode, please, I invoke, I implore, I pray that you join me on a Sunday night at 8:30 Central, and we can hang out and play a game. These are I had a hard time choosing because they were all very good, but these are my three favorite ones. First achievement comes from Dirtbag Keith, and this achievement is, I'm not a damn cartographer, alternatively named, eat a bag of dicks, Gygax. And in order to unlock I'm not a damn cartographer or eat a bag of dicks, Gygax, you need to get someone to draw your map for you or just go outside because this is bullshit.
Everybody, you got to get a Josh Nance. Josh Nance was always party cartographer in our D&D games.
Which is great, because yes. Next achievement I got comes in from Dig Dougie, who gave me that sweet Samurai's tip, which is not as dirty as it sounds. His achievement is, where on earth is Carmen Sandiego? And in order to unlock where on earth is Carmen Sandiego, you need to lose your party in the dungeon, then create a new party to try to find them. And he adds, good luck, haha.
How did I miss an entire party standing in this dungeon we were walking through? You didn't tell me you were looking for them.
You didn't search, man.
Yeah, no,
sorry. Didn't use the search command.
You didn't search for them and then say, "Hell, friends."
That's a pet peeve I have that I wanted to bring up that kept me from progressing for about an hour plus last night. That the search for doors and the search for items are two different search functions that do not equate. So I was looking for a silver key where there should have been a silver key, but I used the wrong search function and couldn't find it, and only realized my mistake much later on. So
I wasted so much time looking for secret doors, and like in typical D&D fashion, it's like I would get to like the end of a long hallway with a dead end and be like, there's a secret door there, and I would search for a secret door and it would say, you find nothing. But deep down, I'm like, that's definitely a secret door.
Well, and it depends on which direction you're facing, because it doesn't matter that you're in the square. You have to search in 4 different directions for a secret door to make sure you've searched every single wall correctly.
I assumed that just based on like Wolfenstein 3D style of like searching for secret doors. But like, I guess what bothers me about, like, on one hand, I think it's really cool that it takes you a long time to search for secret doors. Because it's like when you do search, PC style, DOS style, like a black box pops up with white text in it and it says searching ... And it's like those dots just keep going for a while. Like it's a loading bar essentially. And it's like it takes time to do it, which I love on one hand because it's like there's not really a good approximation for that in D&D. Because like what I hate is when I'm running a game and someone's like, I search for hidden doors, and it's like you don't find anything. All right, I'm gonna search for hidden doors here. And say, yeah, you don't find. There's like no good representation where it's like, dude, this is taking hours for you to do this. But in the real world, in the meat space, when you're playing a game, it's like, fuck, I am not gonna spend 30 seconds in every tile of this dungeon looking for secret doors. I'm just not going to do that.
Because it just reminds me of playing through the Cauldron mod that I ran for everybody.
Yes.
And our former friend that played with us secretly had a copy of the mod with him, and he was like tearing through this dungeon in a playstyle like he's never been this good. And then I realized that he has a copy of the mod, and that's what he's doing when his character comes up to a wall that I know has the biggest treasure stash behind this wall. And he's like, all right, I'll search for secret doors, like, I don't know, here. It's like, okay, roll that search check. It rolls like a 1. And he's like, somebody else. I feel like there's really a door back here. and I think at that point you caught on too, and you were like, I don't know. If you didn't find anything, I trust you.
You checked it. I don't need to waste my time.
He was trying to bend the rules to figure out how he could do it again, like, because he knew like there's like I wield a katana, and there's like a +1 katana behind this door. Like, he was so frustrated, but oh well.
I've got one last achievement that came in from Twitch chat. This came in from Nathan Eaton. And I got to be honest with you, like, there's one that he submitted that is better than this one, but I wanted to choose this one because I get to sing. This comes in from Nathan. She dreams in color, she dreams in red. Can't find another man. In order to unlock that achievement, you need to destroy 10 Nethermen, which are these like weirdly like skeletal tribal enemies that fuck Frank up on the regular.
Man, yeah.
His other achievement that I really struggled with, and this is cheating because I'm essentially giving him 2, but please no one make a big deal about it, is I kicked the map into the river. Which is just like, it's not every day you get a sweet Blair Witch Project reference. In order to unlock that one, you need to run out of spells right when you need the damn map spell, which 100% happened to me. I got lost in my own fucking maze, even though I made this intricate map. What happened was, okay, look, for the most part, this dungeon looks exactly the fucking same.
George is getting upset.
It looks exactly the fucking same because it's like you got brick walls, the doors all look the same. Like, there's a section in the dungeon where it's like you go through a single door, there are 3 doors in front of you. You go into one of those 3 doors, and there's 3 doors in front of you. You go in one of those doors, there's 3 doors in front of you. So it's like, yes, I have a map, but I'm in a hurry to get out of this dungeon. And there came a point where I got lost in the dungeon, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I've got that spell where I can open up. I can conjure up a map." And I had just used my last spell, so I was pretty much fucking stuck. So anyway,
You just got to realize that sweet 3 doors down reference they were really trying to push on you.
yeah. Unfortunately, I could not be Frank's Superman.
So at Tadpog Church, I was trying to make pithy comments in chat using Simpsons quotes, which were largely being ignored because you were working on the map. But before I knew what I was doing, I'd come up with some pretty good half-assed achievements. So I kept track of those and wrote them down here. So the first one I have is, I have to go now. My planet needs me.
I saw that one like 5 minutes after you said it.
Yeah. Which you achieve, I have to go now, my planet needs me, when you kill your first enemy. Because every time you kill an enemy, they just, the sprite of them just vertically drops off the screen.
Yeah, it's not like in Final Fantasy. It's not like in Final Fantasy where they like shake and turn red and disintegrate. It is very much like, it is. It's like the animation cells like pulled straight down.
Uh-huh. The second one I have is called 1-600 Doc Dorb. The B is for bargain. And you get call 1-600 Doc Dorb. The B is for bargain when you find the Orb of Lilgamen.
Oh, I love it.
The final one is, and you call this a temple, despite the fact that it is obviously a maze. Which which you get when you find and meet Gobbledygook at the center of the Temple of Brotherhood. Because you enter the Temple of Brotherhood, and there is fanfare, there is text that says you enter the temple, but it's still just the same texture as the rest of the maze. There is nothing to indicate otherwise that it is a temple. It is obviously a maze.
And in fact, you go into the Temple of Brotherhood, and I'm expecting, like, I don't know, interactions with NPCs. Instead, I'm just being constantly attacked by enemies.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have proven yourself worthy. You go in and it's like you are attacked by magicians.
Yeah, to the point where you thought the actual like standard monsters, acolytes, and magicians were part of the Brotherhood attacking you. When it's like, no, these are just random mooks that are in the maze. So that's what I got.
I'm sorry I missed those in chat, Phil.
Yeah, it's fine. It's you were doing more important things. You were experiencing the game as it was meant to be experienced.
I like to be interactive with chat on Twitch, but it is like that map, man. I had to stay focused on that map. Tyler, do you have any achievements?
Nope.
None?
None.
All right. Okay. How about Lala Mumu died on his way back to his home planet?
Because that's one joke I did forget to tell. On last week's Stinger, I talked about Billy's send-off whenever, like, because I read the joke I read leading into that YouTube video was
the Power Rangers
when Billy
thing.
got poochied, which was 100% what happened.
I got some questions for you guys.
Yeah.
I want to know how much this game is. How much do you think a copy of Wizardry V, Heart of the Maelstrom, goes for the Super Nintendo? Goes for loose.
$52.60.
$52.60 from Tyler. Phil, what do you think? Now you kind of have an unfair advantage. You own this game. You bought this game, right?
But I bought it like decades ago.
All right.
I have no idea what it is. Tyler's generally really close on these.
You're right.
Because I've never seen a live copy. I'd never heard of this, so I'm assuming it's semi-rare. Or you could be sitting on Harold Arthur's college education. We don't know. We'll find out. I'm
second guessing the number that came into my head, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to say $13.47.
$13.47 locked in.
Yeah.
From Phil. Actual retail value of Wizardry V, Heart of the Maelstrom, loose for the Super Nintendo, on average, according to PriceCharting.com, is $9.60.
Oh, shit, I was way off.
So let me ask, I normally ask this, and sometimes it's a joke, but now I seriously mean it. Do you think this game is worth $9.60?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
to the right player, yeah.
I would totally pick this up. If I wouldn't go out of my way to like buy it online, but if I were at like a convention or something and I saw this game for like $10, yeah, based on the experience I had with it, I think I'd pick it up.
Yeah.
You want to take a stab at how much it is complete?
$52.60.
All right, $52.60 from Tyler. Phil, what do you think?
Yeah, $80.
$26.74.
Wow. All right.
New is $91.51.
Man, didn't think this game would be that cheap at all.
It's a cheap game. I don't think people liked it very much.
Well, no one liked any of the rare games. That's why they're rare.
Yeah, that is true. And I don't know, maybe with it being Capcom, maybe it had, I don't know what its release looked like. Maybe it had a decent distribution. I don't know. But it's like, I'll be honest with you.
I guess if it's huge in Japan, then maybe like overall it's not that.
And I did hear that it is much more popular in Japan than it is here in North America. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, cheap game.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I have probably 10 more questions for you guys.
Yes.
I got a quiz from Ross Rachel Green that came in, if you would like to take this.
Hell yeah.
I would.
This quiz is entitled Witches and Wizards and Warlocks, Oh My.
Perfect.
10 Dave-style questions about fictional witches, wizards, and warlocks. Really glad fictional was added in there. I know Aleister Crowley is completely out. Though some are definitely sorcerers. Are you ready for me to begin the questioning?
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we should call this segment of the show, is the questioning.
The questioning.
Ning, ning. This sorcerer has a medical degree. Has to be Dr. Strange. Locking that in. It is, in fact, Dr. Strange. Next question. This wizard was the PC of the father of RPGs. This wizard was the PC of the father of RPGs.
It's not Sararak, is it? No.
What was the name of Gygax's wizard?
Gygax's wizard. Elminster? I don't know. I have no clue.
But see, I don't know. I would think it would be one of the Greyhawks, not one of the Forgotten Realms wizards. Like, I would think it'd be like Mordenkainen or Bigby or, like one of those guys.
Yeah. Mordenkainen's probably a good guess.
But I really don't. I
have no clue.
really don't know.
Manshoon?
Fat Cock the Girthy.
Of the Girthy clan?
Kermit Froghopper.
You want to go with Mordenkainen?
Yeah, it's as good a guess as any.
I think we're going to feel pretty stupid when we see the answer. I don't know. Here it is. It's Mordenkainen! Yes!
Holy shit.
Yes!
Nice. All right.
Jesus Christ. I can't believe that happened. All right. Great. Oh, third question.
Best thing happened to me this week.
No shit. I got very excited about that. There is no money prize. There's no cash money.
You've been that happy since you guessed Fanta was Nazi Coke.
All right, next question. So we got that. We have to get all of these right.
Yep.
Next question is, this wizard defeated a dragon by turning it into a germ.
Merlin.
Is that Merlin?
Yeah, Sword in the Stone.
Yep.
Locking it in. Merlin from Disney's Sword in the Stone. That was Mead Madam Mim, right?
Yeah.
Mad
Madam Mim. Sorry.
I mean, she's also mean. She's mean, Madam Mim.
She's mean and mad. Next question. The wizard is also a detective named after a non-fictional magician.
Tyler?
I'm trying to think of his full name. Harry. Well, it's Harry Dresden, but it's Harry something.
If Harry Dresden isn't fine, then
yeah, it's Harry Dresden.
I'm gonna be upset.
He has 4 names: Harry something Copperfield Dresden.
Copperfield. There's the real magician in there. Okay, so Harry Dresden, logging it in.
Fat Cock, Harry Fat Cock, Copperfield Dresden.
It is Harry McGirthcock Blackstone Copperfield
Blackstone.
Dresden.
That's what I was forgetting.
So we got that. We got that. We'll count it. Next question. This sorceress was supposedly related to King Arthur.
Can you say that again? You cut out.
This sorceress was supposedly related to King Arthur.
I think it starts with an M.
Yeah, it's Morgana.
Is it Morgana?
Le
Okay.
Morgana Le Fay. Locking it in. Thanks, Phil. It is Morgana Le Fay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Harry Dresden's mother in the series.
And I just want to remind everybody that Merlin did kidnap a high school football team one time.
Man, I forgot about that game.
Yes. Next question. This sorcerer seeks the power of a magical artifact to take over the world, often capturing a princess in the process. Is that Maleficent?
Like Ganon. Sounds like Ganon to me.
Oh, sorcerer. You're right. Yeah. Ganon. Lock that in. Are we going with Ganon or Ganondorf?
Well,
Ooh.
So wasn't there a evil magician character in the Link to the Past game that kind of worked for Ganon?
Agenham.
Agenham, yeah.
I always said Agenham, but I know that's wrong. That's a shakeism. So
again,
but he's the one you fight before you get into the Dark World. You reflect his stuff back at him. But I still say Ganon. I think Ganon's pretty good.
Ganon. You guys want to go Ganon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a real big Zelda guy.
Ganon/Ganondorf.
Ganon/Ganondorf. All right, covering our bases. I like it. Locking it in. It is Ganon.
Okay.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, that's my specialty. Next question. And now the stakes are since Mordenkainen, this is probably the highest stakes quiz I think that we've ever taken. This wizard changes color after battling a formidable foe. That'd be Joseph in his Technicolor.
No, Dreamcoat.
Dreamcoat, right?
Changes color
after battling a formidable foe. Oh, Gandalf. He goes from Gandalf to gray
to white.
Right?
You're right, after the Balrog.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that it?
Yep.
All right, we're logging it in.
Good call.
Gandalf, the gray/white. All right, next question. This wizard ran a school and liked it up the wrongin'. I don't know what that means.
Get out your British talk, Ross.
This wizard ran a school. Is that a Harry Potter thing? And liked it up the wrongin'? Oh, I know who it is. Who's the gay character in Harry Potter? That's what liked it up the wrongin' means. Likes it in the butt.
Oh, Dumbledore.
Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be.
All right.
I argue there's no wrongin', though, honestly.
Yeah. You're right.
Locking it in.
Albus Brian Wulfric Dumbledore.
It is.
There are more names.
It is, in fact, Albus Dumbledore.
I think Wulfric comes before Brian.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's somewhere in there.
Nerd.
Yeah. I think Wulfric comes before Brian. Nerd.
Next question. This enchanter warned King Arthur and his knights of a terrible beast with big pointy teeth.
Forge.
Forge the wizard.
Forge the enchanter.
That would be Tim. Tim the enchanter from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
That makes sense. An enchanter who warned King Arthur. This one I really don't have any clue on.
It's Tim.
You think it's really Tim?
Yeah,
right.
it's 100% Tim the enchanter.
All right, I'm with you.
Locking it in. It is Tim.
Nice.
Last question. This wizard king stole a baby at the behest of his sisters, David Bowie. It's the Goblin King.
Oh, all right. Goblin King, good job.
You win all the Tadpog Fun Bucks for knowing his full name. It is the Goblin King, right?
He probably has an actual name, something the Goblin King.
Isn't it like Gareth, something like, right?
It's Jareth.
Jareth, the Goblin King.
But what is that his full name though? Jareth the Goblin King, or is it like Jareth Blackthorn, Albus the Third,
Fatcock?
Jareth Fatcock?
That one, it applies.
Yeah,
it applies.
Yeah, big old. I love at Dragon Con. Anytime someone dresses up as the Goblin King, it's like the first thing I do is like, okay, that's the Goblin King. Look at their crotch. See how accurately their cosplay.
See, I do the opposite. I'm like, oh, look at that crotch. Look up.
Oh, it's the Goblin King. Locking again, Jareth the Goblin King. Jareth the Goblin King.
All right.
We fucking destroyed this quiz.
100%.
Oh
100
my God.
Extra, 110%, because we got the full name, we got the condition.
We got all the Tadpog Fun Bucks.
Yeah, we did.
Ross, thank you very much for putting together this quiz. Definitely appreciate it. We got a quiz last week. We did get a quiz from Quizmaster Matt Cowan, Bovine Bear. But unfortunately, we were actually recording when he sent it in, so we weren't able to take that quiz. But what I'd like to do is take the quiz that he sent for like a little bonus thing on Patreon, if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
Just so it doesn't go to waste. We waste no part of the quiz.
Yes. Ancient Tadpog used every part of the quiz.
So Ross, once again, thank you very much, man. That was a masterly crafted quiz. Tyler.
Yes, Dave.
I've had a lot of fun today with our very own Sandwich Pope Phil.
Love him. Love Sandwich Pope Phil.
And you, of course.
I'm okay.
Big Dick Samurai. I believe that's what your nickname was for this one.
Beef Boy.
Beef Boy Samurai. Yeah, I take Beef Boy and turn it into Big Dick pretty fast. Yeah, like if I'm walking down the street and someone's like, "Hey, Beef Boy," I'm like, "Thanks." Not even cosplaying as Jareth the Goblin King. I have a couple more questions for you before we close this out. If you were to give this game a beard that sums up how you feel about it, what kind of beard would it be and why?
I would have to give it a porn stash.
A porn stash?
A porn stash, because a porn stash, it's goofy. So this game has its goofy elements.
Yeah.
Also, some people still sport the porn stash, but it's definitely a beard out of its time.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Like kind of like Captain America.
Yep. Just like Captain America.
You know, Captain, he was Tony Stark's beard. That's why it's
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Tyler.
Yes, Dave.
I have another question for you. If you were to give this game a pair of glasses that sums up how you feel about it, what kind of glasses would you give it? And why?
Glasses. I've been going through several different things in my head, and I'm not sure what to land on.
Possum hitting the windshield.
Possibly.
Breaking the glass.
I'll give it a rare crystalline magnifying glass. Dropped off a living potter's wheel on the 5th floor of a dungeon.
All right.
Because it's an old, really old-fashioned thing of glasses to see better would be just a magnifying glass made out of rare magical crystal.
It makes it like a wizard thing.
Yeah, it's like a wizard thing.
A Wizardry. Wizardry V. Welcome to our review. Now the real review starts.
Now it starts. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Let's do my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, you want to do the...
Yes.
That's what I want to do.
You want to pray to the randomizer?
I do.
All right.
I do.
My favorite too. Can I make a confession that I skip to the end to find out what the next game is going to be when I download a new episode every Wednesday?
Okay.
All right.
Now we know.
The
Thanks.
randomizer
my
takes your
favorite part,
tribute.
Yeah, thanks for confessing. And it actually makes me feel better because it's like this week I was posting a lot on Facebook about Wizardry 5 and I was hesitant to do it because I was like, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't listened to the episode yet. But now that I know that people like Phil exist, I'm not so worried about it. Because it's like, yeah, you just skip to the end and know what we're talking about. It's also incentive to listen to the show on the day it releases. Or get off of Facebook.
Yeah, or just delete your Facebook. Well, I mean, keep your like on there. Just don't use Facebook anymore.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
All right.
You ready?
Yep. Put on my wizard Robin hat.
Yes, and randomly face your pleasure holes.
Prayer shawl. Right. Yeah. Turn around. I get my pleasure hole.
You ready? Your wrongins.
My wrongins. All right. No whammies. Stop!
470.
Oh, right in the middle. Right in the gray area.
Ooh.
Right in the gray area.
470, which is a game I'm sure we're all familiar with. Super Alfred Chicken. Nah, just kidding.
That'd be great. That'd be fucking great.
Just kidding. It is Road Riot 4WD, which I assume is four-wheel drive.
All right.
Road Riot.
That doesn't sound too bad.
Four-wheel drive.
Okay. We haven't had a game like that
You
forever.
hate racing games, though.
I do, but I thought Micro Machines when that was said. Like it sounds like something like that. I might be wrong. It might be awful, but...
Have you heard of
maybe
it?
Road Rash. Maybe Road Rash is like the Road Riot. Hit my Road Rash, which I do like that game.
Yeah.
So...
I don't know, man. Usually when it's like, I've never heard of this game or series or anything. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I remember this from the arcade.
Oh, it was an arcade game. Okay.
Yeah, it's your
Yeah.
you're in four-wheel like off-road ATV type dune buggies racing against each other.
Okay.
I'm not sure how it's going to look like the SNES port does not look good.
All right. See for yourself on Twitch. It's Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Central.
All right. So Road Riot 4-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, check that shit out.
Facebook, Twitter.
We got social media, Facebook. You can look at all that shit up.
That's all the things.
Yeah, TADPOG. You want that real shit? TADPOG Nation on Facebook. We got a vetting process for that. But if you want that like dark web, like AIDS needle rat pack shit.
AIDS needle rat pack shit. I am going to rename a channel in Discord to that. AIDS needle rat pack shit. There is a channel in Discord called Hot Sex, and that is going to be the new description for that channel. I'm going to write it down so I don't forget that.
So that's the TADPOG Discord.
Discord. Fuck, man, you got me all flustered. I'm trying to remember. I'm running out of memory space because it's like I'm trying to remember AIDS needle rat pack shit. That was it, right?
Yep.
Give me a moment. I'll write that down.
Yeah. No, it's Dean Martin just giving people just ejecting. That's when he gives Frank Sinatra AIDS from a needle.
I love that the reoccurring theme in this episode is AIDS.
Yeah. It's Wizardry 5. Come on.
I've never seen Philadelphia. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I haven't either.
Oh, another Patreon episode. Tyler and Dave watch Philadelphia. It's a new weekly podcast where each week we watch Philadelphia and then do a podcast about it. Phil, have you seen Philadelphia?
I have not.
You want in on this sweet action?
The what?
Yeah.
That's a good pun for your name, Phil.
Yeah.
Come on.
Philadelphia Hawkins.
It'd be really good once you get AIDS. No, you won't. You're in with the rat people. You're fine. You're fine.
Rat Pack.
Yeah.
That's the Rat Pack. That was a very good joke, and I just got all of it. Oh, shit. That's bit.ly/TADPOG Discord.
Let's see. Tadpog_podcast on Instagram, on Twitter.
We got a Patreon.
Yeah, there you go.
You can find us on patreon.com/tadpog. Huge thank you to everybody who's donated to us. It really does make a difference. We were able to, on the fly, buy a new soundboard, which, I mean, ain't cheap, to be honest with you. So it goes a long way, and we really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this episode, I do implore that you consider donating. We would really appreciate it. I'd like to take a moment, so sit right there. I'm going to tell you who just donated. I would like to thank John Labont for his new donation, which is well above the minimum. So, John, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And I believe that's the only new one that we've got this week. But I'm just scrolling through just to make sure I haven't missed anybody.
Yeah. All right. And like you said,
I really hope John Labont doesn't have AIDS. Otherwise, we might lose that new donor.
Yep, that's true.
And if that's the case, we're very sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Now I'm just like, sorry if anybody has AIDS.
Yeah, let's just take a moment to apologize for AIDS.
Yeah. It's more of the reaction that people had to AIDS that we're making fun of Reagan.
Yeah, this is all making fun of Reagan. It's no big
Reagan
deal.
and rats.
Yeah, it's Reagan and rats. The new documentary.
Or our theme song is Moves by Sycamore Drive. Like that track we found that show notes at tadpog.com. How you guys want to close this one out?
I think Phil should pick because he is the guest. And Phil, thank you so very much for taking several hours out of your night to record this podcast about Wizardry V.
Randomizer be praised. It chose a week in which my family is not here to impose on me. So this is no problem at all. You gave me something to do on a Tuesday night. So thank you.
When the randomizer selects Eye of the Beholder, will you join us?
Yeah, 100%. I was really, really hoping that would be next. But you know what? The randomizer has its own machinations, and we'll see what is in store with Road Riot.
Road Riot sounds a lot like Eye of the Beholder.
Pretty similar.
I think we should close it out as our favorite wizard.
All right.
Or as a wizard.
All right.
Let me put on my robe and wizard hat.
Blood Ninja, my favorite wizard. All right. So until next time, tropical Capricorn.
All right, who is everybody?
I'm Phil Hawkins, the lounge wizard.
I was just a wizened old man. That's why I changed.
You don't even know magic.
You were Eustace, the farmer wizard.
Eustace,
the potato mancer.
Yes.
I was
the Tater Trickster.
I was Glim, my favorite character from one of Tyler's games.
Mm-hmm. Bansmear.
Yes, the Bansmear game.
Which, fun fact, that was the last name of, I think, somebody who was a producer for Angel, maybe?
Is that how you chose the
A
name?
lot of times I would just pick a last name from the credits on a TV show for whatever my games were.
All right, I like it. Phil, have you ever had lice?